Hi folks, Jem here. Welcome back to my creative space. Now in my last video we did Masterboards 101. So we started with a blank piece of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, and I showed you how to create a masterboard from start to finish, and we got to the stage of cutting it up. And I promised you in that video that I would then show you what to do with it, because I know what it's like. You've got all these pieces that you've cut and it's like, well, that's great, but what do I do now? So that's what this video is going to show you. I'm going to talk you through how to turn these into journaling cards, tags, belly bands, other bits and pieces that you're going to use in your journal. And this is the journal that I'm going to use these for. Now, as you will see, the cover's done, and I have done some signatures, some pages to go in there, but they're not actually stitched in yet. So we can still take those out. Now, there is a reason for that, and part of it is that I quite like to stitch around some pages on my sewing machine, and sometimes I'll do that after I've put things like belly bands or corner pockets in. So we'll have a look at that today as well. But by no means do you have to have a sewing machine. It's just if you've got one. So there's our journal that they're going to go in. So as you can see, this is not huge. I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's about 5.5 inches that way and 4 that way. So that is about 10.5 centimeters by about 14.5. All right, so we're not looking at huge things here. But so let's make a start. So these are the pieces that we cut up in the last video. These are probably going to be belly bands, and the rest are we're going to look at tags, corner pockets, ordinary square or rectangle pockets, and we're going to look at some tags. Did I say tags twice? Okay. Anyway, that's where we're going today. What I've collected up so that we're ready to go. I've got some inks, which we're probably going to ink the edges. I've got a couple of stamps in mind that we might use. And I've got a collection of things like brads and eyelets. Couldn't remember the name of them. All right, so brads, eyelets, things like that I think might be useful. I've got some washi tape, selection of colours that I think might go, and I've got a little tray of bits and pieces, ephemera, that again we might use just to finish things off if they need it. Okay, so let's start with tags. I'm going to do these two. Now, so for tags, you generally want some kind of shape. You can just have square tags, in which case you could just pop a hole in the top and off you go. But these ones, I'm actually going to show you an easy way to do the corners. Now, as you might remember from my last video, this masterboard was made just on a scrap of cardboard. So I'm actually going to back these. Now, because these are going to be tags, I don't necessarily want lines or anything on them, so I'm just going to find an attractive piece of paper, and I'm going to back those before we start doing anything else. Okay, so what I've done, I've just this is some beautiful tissue paper that I found, and I've just stuck that on the back, just using my glue stick. And I'm going to trim round, trim off any edges. There we go. And the same with this one. And there's the start of our tags. So the next thing I'm going to do, as I say, you can leave those square if you want to, but I actually like some corners on the top of my tags. And this is an old, actually it's an old AA membership card. And what I've done is just cut a couple of the corners at different angles. And then what you can do, see that one's slightly too big, so what I'm going to do is line this one up, and I'm going to line up the top and the side edge of the card. I'm going to cut across there. I'm going to flip the card over so that I'm using that same corner, line it up top and side, cut it off, and there you go. Actually doesn't look square across the top. I'm just going to straighten that up. There we go, and that gives you just that nice shape to the top. So I'm going to do the same with this one, and I'm going to lose a little bit of those flowers, but I think that's okay. And I'm going to use the slightly bigger side on this one. Flip it over, line it up top and side. Off we go. There you are, slightly different shape. All right, so the next thing to decide is whether they look okay as they are, or whether you want to add some more things onto your tags before we finish them off. So this one I think is a little plain down here, and I might add some more things in. So I'm going to have a little bit of a hunt through my box here. I like the idea of a bit of a ticket there. What else have we got? Oh, I've got half a butterfly. No, it's too big. Well, keep coming back to that ticket at the moment. Although I have got a poppy there as well. That might get both. What you'll find as you watch different people doing things is some people like lots and lots of things on their tags and in their journals, and other people tend to go for a slightly more a plain look, or a less fussy look, shall we say. And I have to say, I think I fall into that second category. But you know, when you're doing this, there's no right or wrong. Do what pleases you. Now what I am noticing is that there's a little butterfly down here, and I have some others that look a bit like that. There we go. So I actually think I'm going to pop that on there, and for me that's enough. But what I am going to do is just to ink around the edges of that butterfly. Okay. So I've got some blending brushes which I often use for going around the edge of things, and I've also got some corks with felt pads on. But when something's really tiny like this, I've got one of these little sponge daubers, and I think these, I got a pack of these in the children's section in one of our dollar store type shops, and they're great for just going around the edges of something really small like this. Hopefully I'm in shot there and you can see that. Now again, you'll find some people ink the edges for absolutely everything and some people don't. Again, it's just a personal preference thing. I quite like that just there. And I'm going to use a little bit of thin double-sided tape because I don't want to stick the wings down. What I want to do is just to put a little bit of tape in the middle there to stick the body of the butterfly down. And I want to leave the wings free, just to give a little bit of dimension on the card, on the tag. Ooh, can never find the end when you want it. There we are. So there you go, we've just added a little bit more to that tag. We'll come back to that one in a minute. In the meantime, we're going to have a look at this one. Does this need anything, I ask myself. That's going to obliterate the washi tape, isn't it? Now when you're looking at things like this, bear in mind we've got to put the hole in the top yet if this is a tag. So we need to leave some space up there. When you've got smaller projects like this, now I mean, this was something I cut out on my Cricut machine, and as you can see it didn't go too well, but rather than throwing it away I would hang on to it, because for example I think that would look quite cool. So let's try that. A little bit of plastic. This is an old acetate cover off an old folder. It's quite useful just for not getting glue everywhere. So as you can see, I'm not even cutting that yet. I'm giving it a good dollop of glue. And you could use any sort of glue that you think is going to be suitable really for this. And I'm going to pop that over the top. And I'm just going to grab an old cloth I keep for things like this. I'm just going to get rid of some of that excess glue that's come through where it's cut out. The beauty of glue sticks is you get a bit of wriggle time. Let's move that up slightly. And then I'm just going to come down side. There we go. And you know, I've still got another piece to use. Think about that one. Right, so here's our tags. Let's move our gluey stuff. There we go. Here's our tags. Now, the next thing you need to do is to punch a hole in the top. If you haven't got anything else, one of these works. Some people have got what's called a crocodile, which punches and puts eyelets in. I've got what is probably an early runner of the crocodile. I don't even know where I got these, but if you ever see them, they're brilliant. I've got this. They come in a set with 3 different sizes, and one end punches the hole and the other end squashes the eyelet down. So I'll show you how they work in a minute. But I'm going to choose an eyelet. I might pop maybe a red one on there. I've got some, I thought I had some pinky coloured ones, maybe not. I think we might go red on both of them. Alright, now that's my bigger size eyelet, so I need my biggest one of these. Now you have 2 choices here. You can measure across the top. That's just about 2.5. So I know that 1 3/4 is going to be about the middle. Is that right? 2.5? No, 1 1/4. Never was any good at maths. Okay, so that, I'm just holding that there to mark the place at the moment. Now you can eyeball this if you want to. So I've got a little indentation there that I can see. So if you do have these, there's your hole. Pop your eyelet in, turn it over with the other end. It is as simple as that. There you go. So whatever way you do it, pop your eyelet in. As I say, you can do it with a hole punch and a small hammer if you want to. I'm going to do now this one, and that's just coming up, so I'm going to stick that down in a moment, but with this one I'm just going to eyeball the middle. There's my hole. And I have to say, I've got a self-heal mat underneath my paper. And there's your brad. Eyelet, sorry, not a brad. It's an eyelet. Get it together, Gem. Right, there we go. Now, actually, that eyelet has caught the edge of that bit down, so, oh, no. Bit of glue. Got beautiful sunshine at the moment, but we've got thunder rolling around the hills. It's quite odd. Righty ho. There, so if you hear the thunder in the background, don't panic. All right, I keep a little plastic bag in my drawer, and it's got all my really sort of offcuts of ribbon in, the bits that are really not long enough to do too much with. And when I'm making tags, I pull some of them out, and it's ideal for using up. So I quite like this red. And again, you'll find that different people like different things in their tags. So it really is, you know, this is where you can let your own personal preferences go wild, if you like. And for me, it quite often depends what sort of journal I'm making as to whether, like this one, I would say is, I was going to say is more of a feminine journal, but I probably shouldn't say that, should I? It's a journal with roses and flowers and things like that in. So I'm going to go ribbon on this one. If I was making, like I did a nature themed journal a little while ago, and it was quite, not grungy, but it was more suitable to things like this. So you can use, this is jute, rope, twine, things like that. You can basically use anything you've got. And you know what little hack I've discovered? You know when you buy, for some reason, when you buy ladies' clothes, they often have ribbon at the shoulders. And I think it's to hook around the top of your hanger and stop it falling off. But I don't know about you, but they really irritate me and I tend to take them off. Don't throw them away, folks. Hang on to them. Put them in your scrap bag. They're ideal length for doing things like this. So there you go. Now, there's one thing that I forgot to do that I would normally do before I tie those ribbons on, and that's to actually ink the edges of my tag. So I'm going to come in really carefully and do the edges. So there you go. This is 101 not to do. That's all right. There's always a way around things, I've discovered, I think. We'll just hold that carefully to the side, look, because I can't be bothered to undo it. And you'll notice for something bigger like this, I tend to just use my ink pad to ink the edges. There we go. We'll do this one while I've got the ink pad out. Could have done this one in green, but that's all right. I've got the red in my hand. Now, the other thing you can do with tags, of course, is if you've got a corner rounder or you want to cut round corners, you can do. As I say, you know, you're only limited by your imagination, really. So I'm kind of showing you the structure of things, but the content is entirely up to you. I think for this one I might go a little bit of cream actually. Also, another little tip, if you cut your ribbons on the diagonal like that, hopefully you can see that, it's a whole heap easier to thread them through the eyelets. There we go, first 2 tags done, and they're ready to pop in a pocket in your journal or behind a belly band, wherever you like. So there you go, that's the first thing that we can do with our masterboard. All right, let's move on to number 2. And number 2, we'll put that ribbon safely up there. Number 2 is going to be journaling cards. And these are things that you pop into your junk journal for people to write on. I've already backed these. As I say, the card that I used to create this masterboard wasn't great, it was just a scrap. So I've backed these, and because they're journaling cards, I've chosen to back them with a scrap of lined paper. Now you don't have to do that, you can leave them blank, you can draw lines, you can do whatever you like. So again, we're going to have a look at the front and see what we think. Is there enough on there? Does it need anything else? I'm not a massive fan of this little bit of butterfly that's on here, and I'm just going to, I'm just going to try and put my nail under that. I don't mind that bit quite so much, but the other bits I felt needed to come off. So, and that's left a little white mark, so I'm just going to get a little bit of something, maybe a bit of washi tape. And you'll notice that when I made this particular masterboard, I actually used washi tape in it. So the green here and here, this is washi tape. Now, I don't think I want that to come all the way across. I'm just going to go to there. And for a bit of balance, and pop a bit here. There we are. Now, I actually quite like both of those as they are. As I say, I'm not one for having too much. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and talk and concentrate at the same time. It's not my forte. I don't know, does it need something in the corner there? Do you know, I keep trying these hearts and I don't think I like them. It's got some roses on there, hasn't it? No, I think I'm going to leave it for now. Do I want to? Oh, actually maybe sort of part of that ticket. Let's take that little white bit off because I don't like that. Maybe just that one. This seems to be a bit of a big blank space for me. So I hope you're finding these beginner's junk journal videos interesting and useful. If you are, please do give me a thumbs up, and I'll make some more. And also, if there's something that you'd particularly like to see, do let me know. I'm definitely not the master of everything, but I've given most things a go in my little junk journaling journey, and I've made lots of mistakes along the way, and if I can help you by sharing some of those mistakes, I will do. And the other thing I am going to do with this one, I've just thought, if you look at this one, and hopefully you can see this, this has got some stamping on it, it's got some script on it, and I quite like the stamping sort of disappears into the background a bit when you do things like that. So I've got some small text stamps, and I'm just going to grab one because I want a little bit more on this one. It just needs that little bit more depth, I think. So I'll be right back. Here we go. Found my text stamp and my small acrylic block, which looks like it needs a wash. Actually, I've got some numbers here, and given that there's already some numbers on there, I might try some numbers. Now I do want them to sort of go into the background a little bit, so I could get my black ink pad out, but I don't want it to look too much, so I'm just going to use this nice dark green, and I'm just going to come across here. Now, looking for a scrap piece of paper. There we go. So I used that scrap piece of paper just as a bit of a mask for areas that I didn't want the stamp on. And also just so that I got different bits of the stamp every time. There we go. So that's just added another little layer of depth on there, I think. And I'm actually just going to put a little bit more on here as well while I've got it out. And then also, if these journaling cards end up in the same pocket together, the numbers just tie them together, give a little bit of consistency. Cohesion is probably the word I'm looking for. There we go. That'll do. Don't overdo it, Gem. Don't overdo it. Right. Pop that away. I'll deal with those stamps in a minute. Clean that off. Right. I like round corners on journaling cards. Don't ask me why. So I've got a little corner rounder here. It's actually, so I'm going to show you. If you've got a corner rounder, that's great. If you haven't, go back to your trusty store card. What I've noticed is a lot of these have a rounded corner, and you can use it in exactly the same way. Pop your... Ooh, our electricity's flashing on and off. Are we still recording? Yes, we are. Okay. You can use your store card in exactly the same way that we did to get this corner. This one isn't quite so pronounced, but it does still give you that little bit of rounding. Takes the corner off like that. Ooh. very well. There we go. Now, because the electricity just flicked off and then back on again, my music started up downstairs. So I don't know whether you can hear that. So look, you can achieve the same effect. Got to be honest, if you can pick one of these up, they really do give you a little bit more consistency. It's not going to do that one now. There we go. So whichever way. All right. So there's your two journaling cards. I'm going to ink the edges again, and in essence, that's done. Go for a little bit of green this time, and hopefully that'll pick up the green stamping on the cards. All right. Journaling cards number 2 done. Belly bands. What on earth is a belly band? It took me ages to figure this out when I first started junk journaling, and I had all these weird visions in my head. But a belly band is basically something that goes across or down a page to hold something in. So it's a bit like how would I describe it? I don't know. I'm going to show you. It's easiest. So I'm just flicking through this journal and thinking, okay, I am going to pull this page out here. And tuck that back in so that I know where it goes. Put that out of the way. Now this is just a sheet of paper. Very ordinary paper actually. And I've just run it through my Cuttlebug with a couple of embossing folders. It's just another way to add a bit of interest to your pages. But what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to choose a belly band to go downwards like this. So that one is just a little bit short. Now I could use that one to go across. So a belly band goes across or down. You secure the ends, and then you can tuck things underneath. Now, I know this is quite plain, but I have a thought in my head about this. Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Now, I'm going to do this one because I want to show you something a little bit different. So what I do first is I want this one to go all the way from the top to the bottom, and as it happens that comes just where that little red strip is, and I want to use this plain bit for a reason which will become apparent in a minute. So I'm just going to top that off. That's it. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to ink the edges of this, and again you'll see why in a moment. Now again, it's got, I don't know whether you can see that, it's got a little bit of the text stamp on there that I was talking about in the last ones we did. So, and that's in green. So I'm just going to ink the edges in green really quickly. There we go. And already you can see it stands out much more. Sorry about my arms there. Now I've got this lace which I've already used. Let me show you just here. This was a printable. I don't use a huge amount of printables, but occasionally I'll find one that fits with what I'm doing. So I've already used this lace just across the bottom of this printable, and as I was saying the other day, I like to use things in a couple of different places in my journals just to get a bit of cohesion or consistency or whatever word you want to use. So I'm going to put lace on this one. I'm going to cut it just a little bit longer than I need it. Now I'm not going to back this because the back of this piece is not going to be seen. I'm using up at the moment. So I'm just pulling that lace quite taut and sticking it down. There you go. Now, as I say, if you wanted to put double-sided tape all the way under here, you could do. Personally, I don't think it's necessary. What I am going to do is actually pop something like this. Now there's roses in the embossing there, and I'm going to pop that just on there like that. Before I do, I'm going to show you a little trick, one of my small ink pads. Now, oh, there's a red, that'll do. I bought a big pack of really cheap ones, and if you just want a little bit of colour on something that you're not too worried about it being archival quality, these are absolutely great. Now I'm on the raised side of the embossing folder. I think this side is embossed, this side is debossed, so this side has been pushed in, this side is raised up. So on the raised up side, the embossed side, I'm just going to really lightly, oh, that's a little bit more orange than I thought, never mind. I'm just going to really lightly run my ink pad over it, and what you'll see is that it's picking up the embossing. It just gives it a bit of colour. Now let's check, is that too orange? It is a little bit. I might just see if I've got one that's more red. It was, of course, underneath everything else. So I'm actually just going to go over the top. And it actually might give quite a cool effect with the two colours. There's not usually any mistakes that you can't come back from when you're doing things like this. There we go. We've got a bit of extra colour on there. All right. So that just sort of gives a little bit extra dimension again to your page. Oh, you know what? That belly band is fractionally too long. Now, I could leave it, but it's going to bug me. So I'm going to very carefully just peel that off. And I'm taking probably 1 millimetre, 2 millimetres off the end. And I know that sounds pedantic, but it would bug me otherwise. Oh, re-ink the edge. Stick that back down. There we go. Now that's going to go on there, and that's going to pop on there. So double-sided tape is your friend for this. Now what you want to do with these belly bands is catch them at the top and the bottom, or if they're going this way, the two sides. So there we have, on our page that's going into our journal, we've got a belly band and it's an ideal place to tack journaling cards. Oh, I don't want to go in. That one's just fractionally too big. You can tack your journaling cards or your tags, anything you like. And once we've put our journal back together, this is what it will look like. There we go. Now, you may not choose to put that particular journaling tag in there, but that's a belly band. All right, so number 3, belly bands. Okay, so number 4, we're going to look at corner pockets. So let's have a look and see what we have here. This is quite plain. So let's have a look at this, and also it's a little bit taller. Now, so I'm going to find a page in here where a corner pocket would work well. And I will, once I've finished the journal, I will do a flick through. I might show you some other bits and pieces that I do in it. Alright, so I'm going to cut this on the diagonal, and then we'll show you. Now, it's only a little one, and in some ways the trimmer is a little bit of overkill, but I know that I get a straight line then. So I'm literally putting one corner here and one corner here. And not only do you get one little corner pocket, but you'll get another one as well. Now, I think I'm going to use that one actually. And again, this is quite plain, so I want something else on here. Right, so that's going to go on there. Now, you want to be able to tuck things into here. So for example, you might want to tuck a tag in. So you're going to glue or double side tape along this edge and along this edge. But before I do that, I just want a little bit more interest on this page. And what I'm going to do, making sure that I don't go over onto the next page, I'm going to come back to my green again. And I'm just going to go through the stencil and give a little bit of text on that page. Now, I don't want the whole page covered in text. Let's just check how that looks. There you go. I just want little bits and pieces. So it's almost quite random. I'm thinking about my pocket's going to be over this side. I might do a little bit just here, disappearing under the pocket. And a bit more there. Now if you hold your stencil, you can just pop it up and have a look. And there you go. That's just given, again, we're talking about depth, we're talking about layers. Look at that, that's just given a little bit more interest on that page. And we're going to be able to pop those things on. Alright, so my preferred method, and this is quite thick cardboard actually that I made this masterboard with. My preferred method is the old double-sided tape, and I tend to use, this is a small pocket, so I tend to use the narrow tape, because otherwise if your tape's coming up to here and here, you actually don't end up with much pocket space. Hold that for a moment, make sure it's stuck. So there we go, there's your corner pocket, number 4. We'll do one more, we'll do number 5. So we'll pop, I'm going to leave that out there to dry for a moment. Number 5 is an ordinary type of pocket. Well, I say ordinary, a different type of pocket. So I'm going to pick, I really like that one. And that one. I really like both of these, and I actually don't think that either of them need too much more. And I'm going to turn these into pockets. So let's go back to our journal. In fact, what we'll do is we'll put them on the other page, because this is going to go back into the journal. Yeah, now because this is a small journal, we do only have room for one on the page. I was hoping to get 2 pockets like that. We'll try. We'll try. Okay, so this is where I would really recommend one of these little circle punches. They're not terribly expensive and they'll save you a lot of heartache. What I'm going to do is to take my circle punch and turn it upside down. And I'm going to pull that out so that you can see. And I'm going to eyeball the middle. Now hopefully you can see this. What I'm doing is sliding the top, what's going to be the top of this pocket in just about halfway, maybe a little bit under halfway. And I'm making sure that that's roughly in the middle. Excuse my head if it was in shot. And I'm cutting. And you see what that does? And that gives you the top of your pocket. I'm going to do exactly the same. Ooh, with this one I'm going to lose a little bit of the nice thing on there. So I might try and do a shallower cut. And you'll be able to see the difference. There we go, we did lose a little bit, but not too much. All right, now you could just pop one of these pockets, because we're doing it exactly the same. So this time you want 3 sides taped down. And you could just do one pocket on the page like that. You could stencil on the background, you could put some stamps on the background, whatever you liked first. But I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get the 2 pockets on like that, because they kind of there's some similarities in them. They've got the same scrapbooking paper on the background there, so they tie in. And I'm just looking at that, which is washi tape, and I'm wondering if I can just find that same washi tape and put a little bit down here. Again, that's going to tie them in just that little bit extra, or this. So I'll be right back. Okay, found the washi tape. I'm just going to put a little bit along the edge here, and in fact I'm not, because this is a pocket again, I'm actually going to fold the washi tape under like that. hopefully that just ties it in a bit more. I might just, no, her face is covered then. There we go. Sorry guys, I just realised that my camera had flicked off. We've got some really weird atmospheric conditions this afternoon. Anyway, you haven't missed much. I've inked the edges of my pockets and I've stuck my double-sided tape on the back. Now if you see, I'm leaving that top edge open and I'm sticking the other 3 sides down. So I'm going to start with this pocket because this one's going to be underneath. So let's have a quick recap. We've done 5 different things today with the pieces that we made from our masterboard, and we've still got a whole load more left. So let's have a look. Number 1, we made tags. Number 2, we did journaling cards. Number 3, we did our belly band. And number 4, we did our corner pocket. Number 5, we did what I call ordinary pockets. So there's 5 things that you now know how to do. And look, there's many, many more. And there's many variations on these. As I say, you are only limited by your imagination. And as you can see, I've still got a whole load more bits to play with, which can be tags, bookmarks, all sorts of things. So I hope this has been useful. You've got 5 things to start you off in your junk journal. Size, shape, change it up to suit you, change it up to suit the size of your journal. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been useful. If it has, please do give me a thumbs up. It's really cool to get some feedback and know that you like what I'm doing. And as I say, if there's other things you'd like to see, please do let me know. But for now, thanks for watching folks. Ka kite anō.